Leadership Podcast with myself, the host, Ryan Franks. Ryan Franks Business Leadership and Podcast, and we are coming out of the Messenger Studio, which is the only place you ever need to go for your source of information. Plus, they're ran by a pretty awesome team, a great staff. They're doing a lot of good things, and I absolutely enjoy the partnership. Hey, we've got Dunkin' Donuts promoting this a little bit. They're out of Corden. They're awesome, and hey, you know what the difference between them and other coffee places are? When it's stormy, we're open. They're not, right? So we got your stuff. They don't. And Meade County Christian School, keeping Christ first in the center of all education. And last but certainly not least, Journey Church. Hey, we've got food pantries. We've got partnership with Adult and Teen Challenge, Sierra's House. We've got a campus in Bardstown, and we are here located out of Brandenburg, Kentucky. It's wonderful. It is the beginning of the new year, and here we are. Listen, you're getting all kinds of new year, new you. Wow. Unfortunately, everybody probably had this really big idea that they were going to lose a lot of weight and they were going to go to the gym and grab these memberships. And we got all our brand new fitness clothing over Christmas. And then the weather hits and said, well, you're not going anywhere. So between gyms closing and losing that fire, I would probably say that 88% of people was more like 94% of losing their New Year's resolutions anyways. But hey, it is still, the year is very young. The year is very early. So if you are still looking for New Year's resolutions, man, jump after it. Be consistent. Be faithful. Know the why before the what. You want to do something, but why do you want to do it? So anyways, you can backtrack on some podcasts on that where it talks more about the what and the why. But if you have been out of touch with, anything in the news, here's some interesting stuff. First of all, this was wild. If you don't know, President Trump is going to officially be president in February, and a lot of people are looking forward to that. If you didn't vote for him, that's okay, but you know, here's some things that are kind of coming out that are a little concerning, and I only mention this because there's like a lot of natural disasters with like California and fires right now. There was a lot of people that were taking photo ops with the National Guard and filling planes up over the political campaign, which had no intentions of ever flying those planes out, and just doing photo ops. And so there's some stuff coming out right now that's a little disturbing and concerning for people that are in need. But that's government for you. Mark Zuckerberg, holy smokes, have you seen this? Mark Zuckerberg for Facebook went online and gave like 5 PowerPoints, 5 bullet points on what he's doing. So first of all, he's denounced his entire position with the Democratic Party on censoring people like the last 4 years. Like the fact that Mark Zuckerberg, who is not only owner, well, he's obviously you just don't own a company like that. Like he's the founder of it, co-founder of it, but he also has Instagram as well. They are redacting their policies and procedures, and they're actually partnering with President Trump to make sure that all of the screening and the censoring of people's free speech is gone. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook and Instagram is going to take down all their censorship on free speech, and they're also going to make sure that things are ridiculous that the propaganda and the media are trying to promote as what everybody believes, when really minority, like 11% or less of Americans do not believe it. But as long as they have the camera and a podcast like this, that's why it's important to tell the truth. Anyway, so Zuckerberg is after that, and then man, California is really working through it. Government is really big right now on convincing us that there are aliens with like saucering globes around, and inflation is still up. So that's the world that we're living in. Welcome for a brand new 2025. Hey, listen, 2025, here we are. We're closing up 24. We've all got our New Year's resolutions. What is the difference between succeeding and not succeeding? I'll tell you this. It is good or it is negative habits, bad habits, right? We all have them. We all have this idea of New Year's resolutions where we're like, hey, these are all the good habits I'm going to implement. I think just as important is going to be what bad habits are you going to drop? Because if you pick up good habits, but you keep the bad habit, or keep the good, and you don't drop the bad, you've just got more habits. So if you're going to pick them up, you need to also drop them as well. I want to look at 2 habits today that are not habits that you should pick up, habits that you should drop. So just be aware, it takes 66 days to build a new habit, average, right? 66 days, which means you're going to have to be consistent. If you've got a business or you're trying to vision cast or put in an action plan, let me just tell you the difference real quickly. The difference between an action plan and a dream, the difference between a vision and a dream is going to be an action plan. So you can sit there and dream all you want, but if there's no action, it's never going to happen. That's just wishful thinking, and you know what? You deserve better than that. So think about that for a little bit. And you know what? Before I go on, I wanted to tell you, if you're a believer in actually, if you're of any faith, or maybe you're like an atheist or you're agnostic, I know that Joe Rogan is got like the #1 podcast in the entire universe. He recently had a gentleman on by the name of Wesley Huff. It's 3.5 hours of the podcast. This is probably, in my humble opinion, the most important podcast conversation that's ever been had on media. It is the wildest thing. You have a believer who, when I listen to Wesley Huff talk about manuscripts and where the Bible comes from and all the things, it makes me feel like I've never picked up the Bible before. Like, that's how he makes me feel, because I'm just like, how did I never know that? What is that? So anyways, as a believer, Joe Rogan podcast, or you can just pretty much research Wesley Huff. He's a kid. He's 33, and he's one of like the smartest dudes on the planet right now when it comes to like faith. Okay, anyways, moving on real fast. I just wanted to make sure that you caught that as you're listening to this podcast. There's another great podcast, 66 Days to Build a New Habit. Here's the wildest thing. 18 to 254 days to break a bad one. So maybe you're super stellar. Maybe you're super stellar and you say, oh, I can break that habit in no time. If you're a machine, that's awesome. If you're not a machine, it may take you the better of a year, but it's totally worth it. So here's a couple of habits that I believe will not only give you clarity and give you vision, but it will simplify your life. And as a leader, if you did not know this, as a leader, your entire job is to simplify the process, to make it easy for people to understand and to find solutions. You are, as a leader, are there to find solutions. So you're probably going to hire a bunch of people that are maybe at the top of their game, or maybe they're not at the top of the game, and it's your objective to grow them and develop them, but you're going to have to continue to find solutions. You can't just always hand something off to a person and say, go fix this, go fix this. That's why you're there. You're there to kind of to carouse them a little bit, to give them direction, to give them guidance, to pray over them, to lead them, to give them discernment, through the anointing of the Holy Spirit. But you're there to find a solution at the end of the day. They are coming to you. So this year in 25, just don't say, like, I'm going to establish this role in the business. I'm going to hire this person. I'm going to hire this person. You're going to have to lead them to the water. All right. So here, that's a great habit to pick up, but that's also your job as a leader, is to find solutions. But here's a couple of habits very quickly that I want to share with you. And really, I'm probably going to just be like talking to myself, and you're just here listening, because I think this pertains to me probably more than it does anybody else. Here's the first one. Ready? So we have like a drum roll. Brrr. Number 1, the first bad habit to break for 2025 is, if you're like me, doing too much. Doing too much. You're doing too much. I don't know what generation we're calling now. Generation Alpha. Is that right? Alpha? Generation Alpha? Yeah. Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha. They're the ones that are saying, like, bruh, like all the kids are calling the parents, bruh, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. That is so true. That is something that I've always really struggled with, is I try to do too much. Just because you're busy does not mean that you're effective. It may just mean that you're lowering your quality and lowering your standards to expand a little bit before you're ready. Here's something interesting. There's a new study out that right now that says, hey, if you are making $100,000 a year in your salary, you need an assistant. And then it goes up and says, if you are making $250,000, if you're making $250,000, maybe even your household income, you need help at the house. Why? Because there is time that you are spending on little things when you could be spending with family, or you could be spending it on developing ways on how to either build the church or how you can grow your business. Now, I'm not really saying that anybody is out there in the ministry that's like cranking $250,000. But what I'm suggesting is that there is a time and a place where you are going to require help. You need to be able on how to recognize that. And at least in the business world, $100,000, you need an assistant. $250,000, you need like a straight up like nanny or something in the house, or you need like help with the laundry and the dishes. You need like a housekeeper. There it is right there. And you're like, well, Ryan, that's stupid. I'm not going to get a housekeeper. But you hear what I'm saying, though. There's like different levels of income in your business where you're going to need to extend out for more help so that you can continue to go to the next level. And if you're the CEO or the business or the CFO or the CEO, and you're still trying to do everything, your business is not going to grow, because you need to remove yourself from the daily operations as the executive director and give that to somebody else, and 90% of the time of your time to follow up with them so that they can continue to do the daily stuff and you can continue to raise the ceiling. Boom. That one's for free, okay? Bad habit number one, you're doing too much. Something phenomenal. I'd say one of the greatest developers of our time, at least alive right now, is Craig Rochelle. And he says this. He says, you don't grow by doing more. You grow by doing what's best. I'll read it again. You don't grow by doing more. Okay, Ryan, thank you. You grow by doing what's best. There are certain things that I love that I do, and there are certain things that I'm just like, oh my goodness, is there anybody else that can do this? If not, I will do it because that's what leaders are supposed to do. They're supposed to step up. But boy, if there's any place that I would rather be, it's not right here. So my encouragement to you, some of you that are very introverted are going to absolutely love this. If you're extroverted, you're going to hate this. Do less this year. Do less this year and focus on your passion and what you're good at, and what you're not good at, give it to somebody else. You don't grow by doing more. You grow by doing what's best. You need to run your schedule. Your schedule does not need to be ran by others, or it does not need to run you. And somebody is in charge. It's either you're in charge of your schedule, or your schedule is in charge of you. Don't spend your time, invest your time. Every time you do something, everything that you say, every person that you meet with, you need to realize, am I wasting my time? Am I helping this time? Or am I investing this time? There's a place where you have to say, I'm going to try to be as accessible as I possibly can, but eventually you're going to need to build a team that has access to you, but everybody else has access to them. And it's a chain of command. It's a channel. You need to know where you're giving your time. And if you're giving your time to the wrong places, doing, dare I say, stupid stuff, doesn't mean that it's stupid, but it's like, it's a waste of your time when somebody else could be doing it. You're giving your time away, which means where it should have been, it's not receiving. You're spending on things that don't need it, and then you're keeping the business where it's at. And then at the end of the day, you go home and you think you're vision casting, but you're really dreaming because you didn't allocate your time on accordingly. So invest your time. Don't spend your time. Invest your time. So how do you break this habit? Anybody can say like, hey, I'm going to break this habit. That's awesome. Do you have an action plan? I do not. Okay, well, then it's a dream, not a vision. Here's a vision. Here's the action plan for breaking habit number one, habit of doing too much. One, when any time you're wanting to do something or something comes to you or is laid on your plate, you need to assess and evaluate the importance of it. Is this something I need to do now? Is it critical? Is it important? Is it meaningful? Or is it a lower priority? You need to categorize what has just been laid in your lap. Some things need to be addressed immediately. I understand that. Assess and evaluate the importance of the task or what's been laid at your feet, right? This is how you begin to break the cycle of doing too much. Assess it and evaluate it. Don't just simply say yes. I have been a yes person for like majority of my life because one, if you're in ministry or you're a pastor, you naturally want to be liked because you're in the people business. You're trying to lead them. You're trying to shepherd them. You make mistakes along the way. You hope that you're not judged too harshly. That's why all pastors need to be okay to mature to the point where you can say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. If I could do it again, I would do it differently. Please forgive me. I won't make the same mistake again. I was not like that for the longest time, but for a while, just being humble and loving on people and just being like, hey, listen, I dropped the ball on that. My fault. Will you forgive me? Give me some grace. Let's move forward. And I promise I will not do that again. Right. So assess and evaluate. Second thing, in breaking the cycle of breaking the bad habit of doing too much, eliminate. Simply just eliminate some stuff off your plate. Change the question to ask yourself, should I be doing this? Not can I do this? I know that you can do this. I'm fully aware that if you're sitting in the driver's seat, you can do this. The question is should you be doing that? I say that to my kids all the time. They're like, well, Dad, we can do this. And I'm like, but should we? Is this the right decision? That's what I always tell my kids when they're complaining and I leave the decision to them. I don't really leave it to them, but I give them the option of thinking that it's in their hands. I say, whatever you do, no matter how challenging it is, make the right decision. 99% of the time they know the right decision because it's the emotional response I get from them where they're like, oh, fine. That's how you know that they know. It's when they say, okay, great, and they run off. Yeah, parenting flaw right there. So assess and evaluate, eliminate, delegate. Get the thing off your desk. Remember, it's better, more effective. I hate the word better. It's more effective to delegate a task to somebody who will do a good job instead of you holding all of the decisions and all of the tasks in your lap and it doing a great job. Now, I know that Jim Collins has this phenomenal book called Good to Great. I'm not I'm not talking about that. Just hear my heart on this. It is better, it is more effective that you delegate something that's going to be good instead of you always holding it and trying to do it and it being great. And if you say, well, it's just so much easier, it's just so much simpler, it's so much faster if I just do it myself, you are going to find a ceiling and you're never going to surpass it because you're going to have a whole plate of things that you have just done. And the thing is that nobody has been trained to do it. Then you just got a ton of payroll. That's what you got. Now you have an expense. So assess and evaluate, eliminate, delegate, and last but not least, policy and protocol. Okay, a policy is a course of principle. A protocol is the official procedure. If you have something that comes up that needs a solution that you've never had to do before, you need a policy and a protocol so that you don't have to go back to the think tank or back to the drawing board and find out a solution for it. You just have a policy and a protocol. The unfortunate thing is, and this is where it gets kind of sticky sometimes, and I've had staff members like this before between, like, we pastored in Phoenix, Chicago, Kansas City. We've got Duncans across, the entire Midwest. So I'm not like harboring on one of those, but I would say like 90% of the time, if not more, anytime we had to develop a policy or protocol is because something bad happened or something wrong happened. That stinks, right? That stinks. That means somebody didn't understand the vision. Somebody wasn't willing to go along with it. Somebody wanted to prove a point. So they're just like, well, I didn't do this and I didn't do this. So where does it say that in the handbook? Where does it say that in the handbook? Where does it say that in the handbook? And you're just like, you know what? It's not in the handbook because we've never had to deal with this problem until you came on staff. Now that's, obviously, you would never handle a situation like that, but that's kind of like how you're feeling inside. You're just like, well, you know what? Maybe you are the one that I need a policy and protocol for, not necessarily what you're dealing with. Nevertheless, policies and protocols are great, right? A course of principle, the official procedure. It's usually because something bad has happened. Make sure that before you go write a policy and a protocol, that it's not the person that probably needs to go in a different direction. And if that person can be coached, if that person can be developed and they can be an asset to the team, then develop a protocol. Maybe it's something that genuinely needs to be implemented. Like, hey, how many work days do we have? How many sick days do we have? How many? It's always good to manage the expectation, put it up in front during the hiring process, which, really comes down to what is the problem? Is it systems or is it personnel? But we covered that on a previous podcast. So anyways, how do you break the cycle of doing too much? Assess and evaluate, eliminate, delegate, and have policies and protocols. Okay, so here is the one bad habit that I think is kind of a broad stroke, and I don't know if it's necessarily fair to bring this up and not spend the next hour and a half talking about it, because that's not what we're going to do. We're going to keep this around to 20 to 22 minutes, and I think we're coming up on 17. So let me just share this with you, but maybe this is going to take off because I think there's something real to this. All right, organically, the second bad habit. I hate to say that you need things. You need this. My wife hates it when I say this is what you need, right? But it's kind of funny though. So I never say it, and only when I say it with a smile because I know she's gonna probably maybe throat punch me a little bit. But here's the thing: the second bad habit I want you to break this year. The second bad habit that I'm gonna break this year is being more aware and conscious of the people in my life that have a tendency of stirring up drama, gossip, and being toxic. Now, that's a really broad stroke because everybody would be like, oh, yeah, I'm not the problem. Everybody else is the problem. Now, just hold on real fast. First of all, the bad habit that I want you to break, kind of under this huge umbrella of who you're around, is this. First of all, don't avoid confrontation this year. You don't have to be rude about it. You don't have to be this super terrible person where you're just like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to fight every single person that disagrees. No. What I'm suggesting is that don't be so passive that people make decisions for you when it comes to your world and your life. There are things that need to be done a certain way, and we want to be liked, and we want the business, so we allow certain people to make decisions, to speak to us a certain kind of way. Listen, you can always smile through your teeth. You can always extend grace. You can always extend kindness. The Bible is very clear about that. But by the same token, though, don't run from confrontation anymore. You can have healthy confrontation. There's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of the times, you'll form a great relationship because if both parties want the other one to win and you have a healthy confrontation, there's no reason why it can't be respectful. And you can learn from that and not relapse on that issue again. And you can move forward, putting that behind you, almost kind of like a policy and protocol. We're going to tackle this for the first time. We're going to find a solution. We're going to move on. We're never going to revisit that. So stop trying to avoid conflict. Stop trying to avoid problems. Leaders solve them, so solve them, right? Solve them and move on. And the second thing is this is prevent yourself and distance yourself from drama this year. Remember, some people do not know how to live and operate outside of stirring up unnecessary drama and problems. They have no business being in your business. If you're friends with them, okay, I wouldn't suggest it because like that's your inner circle and that's what you're going to be listening to and that's going to be your influence. But if you will start to shut down the toxicity of people around you, you might actually find that there's a lot of potential in that person who can be more effective in their work, in their family, and in their lives. And if you can distance them from other people, that's not your responsibility. But if you start to implement a healthy culture, maybe that some of that unhealthiness will walk away. And that's what I'm trying to get at right now. Healthy cultures will not allow unhealthy people. And you won't actually have to fire anybody. They'll leave, right? Unhealthy people cannot survive in a healthy culture, but that also goes the other way around. You may be presenting and formulating an unhealthy culture, and healthy people are not going to stay around. And you need to figure out which one it is. So if you're constantly talking about people, if you don't know how to talk without undermining people and talking about how you do things and how this could be better and all these other things, all you're really doing is just saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know what else to talk about. And I'm probably not very effective in my job. So I'm just going to talk garbage about everybody and anything. All of that has to go. And if you will just start to simply say, hey, listen, no, we're not going to be doing this, sticking to the points, doing follow-up, giving Zooms, being more efficient, being more intentional about everything that you're doing, setting these policies and protocols. You don't have to be rude about it. You can be encouragement. Hey, listen, I want the best for this business. These are a couple things we're not going to do this year. One, we're not going to sit around the water cooler and the coffee and just talk garbage about, anything and everything, because you can always find something wrong with everything, and there's no talent in that. And that is a person, if they ever submitted their resume to be like, hey, it's not a good fit. It's not that the answer is yes or not right now. The answer is no, never. Like, we would not allow that on staff. So don't avoid conflict. Prevent and distance yourself from drama. And let me just give you this one Bible verse as we wrap up a little bit here. Proverbs 26, verse 20, out of the English Standard Version. For lack of wood, the fire goes out, right? You got a bonfire, you got a fire. You start taking the wood out or you let it all burn. What happens? Does the fire keep going? No, it does not. For lack of wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no whisper, wherever there is no gossip, wherever there is no toxicity, the quarreling ceases. So let me do that and let me unpack that just a little bit more. Just like there's no wood and fire, the fire has to go out. It's the same thing. If you will stop allowing gossiping, or maybe yourself, or the toxicity, or the whispers and the rumors. I heard a rumor. Did you hear? Yeah. Please receive this with all the love in our heart. You should just shut your mouth. Where there is no whisper, all of the gossip will cease. And I promise you, you can develop a healthy culture, and it'll change the productivity like you wouldn't believe. Remember, if you have one poor apple, if you have one bad apple, an entire bushel, if you have one person in the entire office that is always just down, is always just has a bad attitude, that never can get anything right, and it's always somebody else's problem, it decreases the productivity of the other team, right? It goes from like 83% productivity, but with that one, it goes down to like 37. That is a true statistic. That's crazy. One person. So it matters who you hire. So lead well. Lead in 2025. It's going to be an amazing time. Hey, thank you for taking the time to stop in. My name is Ryan. We've got great sponsors. We got The Messenger. We've got Journey Church, Dunkin' Donuts, Meade County Christian. This is a great place. This is a great town. Love you dearly. All right. Signing off. Till next week. Be blessed.